They were the envy of Hollywood to charming stars who seemed to balance blockbuster careers with an effortlessly playful marriage, from witty Twitter banter to red carpet flirtations. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds built an image that nobody could resist. Their chemistry felt perfect to be anything but genuine, and for a long time, it seemed like they could do no wrong. Yet beneath the dazzling headlines and carefully curated social media posts, an undercurrent of chaos was quietly gathering force. Now, that chaos has burst into the open, sending shockwaves through the industry, angering studio executives, and confusing fans who once admired them. How did it all go so wrong? It all started innocently enough. The pair met, sparks flew, and almost overnight, they became a fixture on celebrity news sites. Photographers loved capturing their every move, the sly smiles, the playful jabs, the grand gestures that made them look like the fun couple at every party. Whenever Blake shared a photo, Ryan would pop up in the comments with a joke, fueling the narrative that these two were the ultimate relationship goals. Together, they amassed a devoted fan base who viewed them as the pinnacle of #couple goals. Audiences flocked to their projects partly for the entertainment, and partly for a glimpse into what felt like a romantic fairy tale. Everyone wanted to believe that fairy tales could be real, but people often forget that what shines brightest can also cast the longest shadows. While the public was busy gushing over the couple's comedic chemistry, there were tensions lurking behind the scenes. Whispers circulated about Blake's uneasy relationships on set, Ryan's insistence on having a say in every script detail, and conflicts with fellow actors who didn't appreciate either star's sense of creative control. These rumors were easily brushed off at first. Most fans assumed it was just standard Hollywood chatter. After all, show business is no stranger to gossip. Then came the sequel to A Simple Favor, casually referred to in early press releases as another Simple Favor. The first movie had surprised everyone with its dark comedic edge, generating respectable buzz at the box office. Blake and Anna Kendrick played off each other well, and the film found a niche of loyal admirers who appreciated its twisted humor and unexpected story turns. So when talk of a sequel emerged, people were curious. Would it recapture the magic of the original? Or would it feel like a forced attempt to milk a surprise success? For a time, excitement dominated. Early photos from the set showed Blake wearing extravagant outfits and looking charmingly wary, and the entire production apparently gliding toward a polished final product. Yet the rumor mill suddenly ignited with talk of script meddling and inflated egos. Anonymous sources claimed that Blake was obsessed with controlling how her character's arc unfolded, while Ryan, who wasn't even in the movie, poked his head into creative meetings, allegedly pushing for re-edits and marketing changes. Nobody had concrete proof, so the tales were treated more like industry folklore. But soon, those minor grumblings grew into a full-on crisis. By the time advanced screenings rolled around, the chatter was no longer about script issues. It had exploded into allegations of personal drama, a meltdown behind closed doors, and legal entanglements that cast a dark cloud over the entire production. Word spread that Blake was knee-deep in a dispute with Justin Baldoni, an actor and producer, who had become a surprising figure in her legal battles. She claimed he was attempting to ruin her career with hidden agendas and orchestrated rumors. He responded that she provided zero tangible proof for her claims, and that the entire fiasco was a bizarre misunderstanding. Fans were left in the dark, uncertain whom to believe.
Attorney's eyes only designation to protect, as they term it, highly confidential information that could destroy the careers of the third-party people that are involved.
This just in, Justin Baldoni's team has issued a response in opposition to dismiss the New York Times, and there is a bit of a smoking gun.
What complicated matters was the way Ryan leaned into the controversy. ALLEGEDLY egging on certain media outlets to question Justin Baldoni's integrity. People who had once admired his light-hearted jokes felt uneasy about this new, more aggressive side of Ryan. Even more unsettling were the claims that the couple was using questionable PR tactics, locking comment sections, employing bot accounts to flood social media with suspicious praise, and discrediting critics at every turn. Whenever negative reviews appeared, they were swiftly drowned out by robotic-sounding messages that praised Blake's unparalleled talent or Ryan's genius marketing mind. Observers noted that many of these Twitter profiles had been created only days earlier, followed zero real people, and posted solely about the couple's brilliance. As if that weren't enough, the film itself received brutal feedback from early viewers. Some labeled it silly and clunky, while others decried the awkward pacing and obvious rehashing of the original's plot points. The story, critics said, wasn't the central issue. People often like campy or silly movies if the tone and execution are entertaining. Instead, the lead actor's off-screen drama overshadowed everything, turning any potential enjoyment into a side note next to the real spectacle. The meltdown of Hollywood's golden couple, suddenly, A Simple Favor, to which for marketing reasons was rebranded as Another Simple Favor, became less about the story and more about whether Blake and Ryan's presence would doom or save it. Anna Kendrick, who had been a key piece of the original's charm, seemed to keep her distance as promotional events ramped up. Interviews felt forced. Attempts to show camaraderie between her and Blake looked uncomfortable. Fans who paid attention to body language noticed that Anna rarely made eye contact with her co-star. People wondered if there had been a falling out. Gossip sites buzzed with theories maybe Anna was caught in the crossfire of Blake's legal mess. Or perhaps she simply wanted to avoid the couple's drama. Regardless, the tension was undeniable. Anna's usually warm social media presence turned ice cold whenever the film came up. If anyone asked her about behind-the-scenes tension, she gave polite but terse replies. Public reception to these rumors was, at first, a mixture of disbelief and voyeuristic curiosity. Could Blake and Ryan, the quirky couple who once swapped comedic barbs on social media, really be spiraling into such chaos as more stories and alleged evidence leaked? That curiosity gave way to a wave of critical doubt. Blogs began dissecting every public appearance, pointing out how Blake's wide smiles looked rehearsed, how Ryan's jokes had grown sharper, even hostile. Fans who had treasured their seemingly earnest relationship felt betrayed, wondering if everything had been staged from the start. And then there was the matter of the #MeToo movement and the allegations Blake made against Baldoni. People who were devoted supporters of the movement found the situation especially troubling. Legitimate claims of harassment or misconduct should always be taken seriously, but observers couldn't help noticing how Blake's accusations appeared whenever her projects faced negative press. If she had a real claim, many wondered, why was it entangled with marketing spin and crisis control for her new movie? Baldoni, for his part, carried on with his own film promotions, occasionally addressing the matter only to say that there was no truth to her allegations without visible evidence. The public was left torn between supporting what might be a real personal battle and suspecting it was a cynical attempt at deflection. Meanwhile, Ryan's alleged behind-the-scenes efforts ballooned into something more concerning. Various film critics began noticing their pre-release reviews disappearing from certain platforms. Within hours, the same reviews would resurface, but with a suspiciously revised tone. Rotten Tomatoes scores rose and fell drastically, sometimes in the span of a single day. Anonymous insiders suggested that the couple's PR team was scrambling to control the narrative, possibly contacting website moderators or employing questionable methods to manipulate ratings. Though nothing was conclusively proven, the pattern was so bizarre and obvious that more critics started speaking out. The rumor of a covert PR operative being hired to fix the couple's tarnished image made the rounds, sparking even more speculation. As the tension built, major Hollywood figures, directors, producers, and high-level studio executives reportedly grew frustrated with the pair. The honeymoon phase of winking at the camera and cracking jokes was over. Now, the word among insiders was that working with them had become a nightmare. One well-known director, who asked not to be named, apparently described them as unstoppable tornadoes that left chaos wherever they went. Instead of focusing on making good films, they seemed fixated on controlling everything: co-stars, scripts, even marketing budgets. And while these behaviors might be tolerated in very successful franchises, the problem was that their latest film was widely considered a flop. When the big money isn't rolling in, studios lose patience fast. Reports also emerged about Sony, one of the studios behind the sequel, and how it navigated the swirl of negativity. Executives allegedly tried to placate Blake by giving her more creative input to keep the peace, worried that if she felt slighted, Ryan might step in and cause further disruptions. In truth, it seemed like a losing strategy. Critics labeled the final cut a disjointed mess, with an identity crisis shaped by too many conflicting agendas. Some described the film as a comedic thriller that forgot to be either funny or thrilling. And always, in the background, was the persistent feeling that everything happening on screen was overshadowed by a far more dramatic meltdown off screen. Fans who once championed this couple turned to social media to voice their disappointment. The official pages for both Blake and Ryan were soon flooded with questions that never received genuine responses. In some cases, entire threads disappeared without explanation, fueling accusations of censorship. People began discussing how the couple responded to minor jabs with disproportionate aggression. Some described it as a take-no-prisoners approach that revealed more about the pair's desperation than actual confidence in their work. Some watchers speculated that the meltdown might be part of an elaborate plan to keep them in the spotlight. In Hollywood, negative press can sometimes help maintain celebrity status, but this particular fiasco felt different. There was no comedic angle or sly wink to the audience, just swirling rumors of lawsuits, forced positivity, and a growing sense that the couple was losing control over their carefully crafted image. Instead of laughing along, fans seemed exhausted. They wanted to enjoy a film without feeling manipulated or bombarded by behind-the-scenes drama. Blake's meltdown, as it was often called, centered on her emotional response to early reviews. When critics slammed not only her performance, but the entire production, she allegedly broke down in tears during private meetings and argued viciously with executives. According to some sources, she insisted that the real problem was a smear campaign led by certain industry figures who disliked her. Ryan, in turn, tried to shield her from negative press by issuing statements through anonymous insiders that blamed the fiasco on everything from biased journalism to petty rivalries. Yet none of these statements came with any substantial proof, leaving the public skeptical. This meltdown wasn't confined to studios and critics. It spilled over onto red carpets, late-night talk show appearances, and social media campaigns. The couple's famously sharp sense of humor morphed into bitter banter that felt tense and awkward. Their once light-hearted teasing started coming off as mean-spirited. Even talk show hosts struggled to navigate questions without stepping on hidden landmines. One host attempted to joke about the rumor of them planning audience members at a film festival for 4 standing ovations, and Ryan's reaction turned icy. That clip went viral, accelerating the sense that the couple was on thin ice with both the public and the industry. As the movie's release date finally arrived, the meltdown reached a point of no return. Critics didn't hold back. Some reviews read like takedowns of not just the film, but the couple themselves. While the critiques sometimes ventured into overly personal territory, it was clear that many reviewers felt the drama overshadowed any chance of objective judgment. The film's box office numbers started modestly, bolstered by fans who hoped the negativity was overblown, but quickly plummeted as word of mouth spread. People described the experience as sitting through a painfully dull story made worse by all the baggage you can't ignore. In interviews that followed, Blake and Ryan seemed determined to spin the narrative in their favor. They labeled the critics as closed-minded and insisted that the film was misunderstood, but their efforts to represent the fiasco as a misunderstood art piece only fanned the flames. The more they insisted that everyone else just didn't get it, the more alienated potential viewers felt. It didn't help that Anna Kendrick continued to appear visibly uncomfortable in any joint promotional spots, offering only tight-lipped smiles and one-sentence answers. The final blow to their carefully maintained image was the unearthing of suspicious online patterns. Investigative fans noticed entire swarms of newly created social media accounts, praising the couple with near-identical wording all in the same time frame at first. Some onlookers laughed it off as enthusiastic fans getting carried away, but the patterns were obvious. The accounts showed minimal activity outside repeated mentions of Blake's iconic fashion and Ryan's unmatched wit. The stench of a manufactured campaign became impossible to ignore. Public sentiment kept souring, especially as more critics and insiders spoke up about feeling pressured, censored, or outright intimidated by the couple's tactics. This is where the meltdown transformed into a full collapse of trust. It was no longer a question of whether Blake and Ryan were controlling or overprotective of their brand. It was widely accepted, at least in the public eye, that they would do anything to maintain a positive image, even if it meant trampling on the truth. Now, the question haunting everyone is, can they bounce back from this? Hollywood has a short memory for scandal, provided the talent can deliver hits or display genuine remorse. But in this case, the meltdown has been so thoroughly documented that many wonder if the couple's credibility is damaged beyond repair. Studio execs might hesitate to invest huge budgets in their projects, especially if the public sees them as manipulative. Co-stars may be wary of working with them, not wanting to be part of another fiasco that could overshadow the film itself. And fans, those who used to adore them unconditionally, seem to have lost the sense of wonder that once surrounded the pair still. Some cynics believe the couple will craft a redemption narrative. Maybe they'll vanish from the public eye, just long enough for audience frustration to subside, only to reemerge with a meticulously managed comeback story. Perhaps they'll appear on a major talk show, tearfully apologizing for how stress and misunderstanding took control. In an industry built on reinvention, you can never completely rule out a comeback. The question is whether people will fall for it once more, or if they'll see it as another layer of performance. For those who worked on another simple favor, the director, the crew, Anna Kendrick, this entire experience has likely left a bitter aftertaste. What was meant to be a playful sequel turned into a cautionary tale about how quickly a film can be buried under personal drama. Instead of celebrating a fun, offbeat thriller, the entertainment world found itself bogged down in warring accusations, manipulative marketing ploys, and legal threats. Some will say the meltdown overshadowed any chance the movie had to stand on its own. Others argue the movie simply wasn't strong enough to withstand the negative attention. Regardless, the meltdown stands as a stark reminder that fame and influence can become liabilities when misused. Blake and Ryan's relentless pursuit of control over narratives, reviews, co-stars, and even fans ultimately revealed more about their fragile egos than their talents. By refusing to let the work speak for itself, they invited skepticism and unleashed a backlash they couldn't contain. It's a powerful lesson, no matter how beloved you are. The public will turn on you if they sense manipulation and disrespect. Authenticity is becoming the gold standard in entertainment, and Hollywood watchers have long memories when it comes to who treats them like an audience of thinking individuals versus who tries to spin them with illusions. So, is this truly the end for Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds in Hollywood? They certainly have enough resources to stage a comeback if they can offer something that feels genuine, but for now, the damage is done, and the once charmed pair finds themselves in a swamp of controversy they helped create. Perhaps they'll manage a quiet retreat and self-reflection, or they may double down on denying everything until the topic cools. Only time will tell if audiences will ever see them the same way again. For the rest of us, this meltdown is a revealing glimpse into what happens when celebrities confuse their own hype with reality. It's a cautionary tale about the consequences of overshadowing creativity with vanity, overshadowing authenticity with spin, and overshadowing genuine talent with endless distraction. Whether you're a die-hard fan, a casual moviegoer, or an industry insider, the collapse of Blake and Ryan's squeaky clean facade serves as a reminder that every story has more than one side, and in this particular tale, the side we see is shaped by a power couple who lost sight of the line between controlling the narrative and destroying it altogether.